16th, 2022. I'll call this regular meeting, council meeting for the corporation of the Council of Terrace Bay to order. Item 2, motion moved by Councilor Malachowski, seconded by Councilor Johnson. Resolved that the Monday, May 16th, 2022, again to be approved as presented. Are there any corrections? Hearing none, call a motion to vote. All in favor, hands up. Hands down. Opposed, hands up. Motion is carried. Item 3, disclosure of interest. Councilor Malachowski is declared in conflict and on item 7A and B. Definitely on this first. Item 4, adoption of minutes. A motion moved by Councilor Johnson, seconded by Councilor Malachowski. Resolved that the minutes of the regular council meeting held Monday, May 2nd, 2022, be approved as presented. If any errors or omissions? Hearing nothing mentioned, I'll call a motion to vote. All in favor, hands up. Hands down. Opposed, hands up. Motion is carried. Item 5, presentations and delegations. We have Christy May to make a presentation. Would you like to?
Yep. If you guys don't mind, I can jump up here just quickly so everybody can see me. Okay.
Sure.
I shared with you guys a written proposal, and I'll just bring it up here. I'll set the link in just a second. We have exhibition games tomorrow at the field. We're just trying to making sure we're good for that. Okay. Good. Agenda. Okay. Yeah, I'll read you what I wrote, and then I'll do a little, just some background information of what I'm thinking, what we've done so far, and what I'm planning to do. So it says, John, Luke, Jody, and council, and everybody here. Number one, thanks for having me. I'm glad I'm able to present to you all. I'm writing this letter on behalf of the parents, students / youth and community members of the Terrace Bay. Of Terrace Bay who volunteer to maintain and run our outdoor rink at Southridge Park. And I'm sure most of you know, over COVID, a group of us came together, found out that there indeed was an outdoor rink that had been used, I don't know, 5 or 6 years ago. It was stored in the town yard. Melissa Lanabaz and myself were talking, and she's like, well, it's there. We should find it and set it up. So we did. So over the last few years, a dedicated group of volunteers come together to run a free outdoor skating rink in Southridge Park for our community. The township of Terrace Bay and council have supported the rink in the past through donations of old hockey nets, snow plowing, the snow removal, snow fencing, purchase of outdoor lights. Further, our rink on the coldest nights of the winter, we have the Terrace Bay Fire Department, Colton and Brad and Ryan Boland come down on the regular and they water it. And again, you got to appreciate it's on the coldest nights of the year for our kids. These donations, both monetary and in kind, have made a huge impact on our mental and physical health and well-being of our youth and community members by giving them an activity to participate during COVID. Chris Saverio has created an account for the community rink and has accepted donations. Further, he has personally contributed $1,000 for a community rink. Currently, the rink has been removed from the park and it's sitting up in the high school parking lot. It's undergoing much needed repairs and paying prior to summer storage. Students at the high school now set up, maintain, repair, and use the rink. So again, giving you some context of this past year, my outdoor class brought the community rink. Garrett and I went into the town yard, took it out, brought it down to the Southridge Park. I had my students go with like laser levels and find the flattest spot, because last year we watered it so many times where it was just going down the back because obviously it's sloped to the south, right? So we laser leveled the spot, and now the students basically bring it down, they set it up, we do all that, we've made it part of our curriculum, and now we brought it back up. And just the other day, if you follow the high school Facebook site, I have my learning strategies students, and as well my grade 10 science students, refurbishing the hockey rink. So what we've begun to do is, I got some paint from Sabrario, and now we're just repainting the actual boards. The whole boards, fortunately we have it. Unfortunately, it was made with, and as you can see, untreated wood, right? So looking forward to like the long-term sustainability of this kind of a project, to have it for free. And again, as you can appreciate, on the weekends, let's say Sunday, there's nobody working at the rink here, right? And if you guys know school kids, they have Saturday and Sundays off. So I'm looking at having the kids, and I know like Fumberton's kids, and again, like a lot of the other kids, the neighborhood Corby's kids, like we all live in that region, but there's even kids coming in from Scriber using it as well. And again, council last year or the year before, I lost track of time, but you guys did support the purchase of the outdoor lights when Dean Main was working here. So we did put 6 solar lights that are motion sensor activated. We have those, and then I mounted them at school. Some of my students, we took treated 2x4 by, I believe they were 12 or 16s. I can't remember exactly. Either way, just again, like we might as well spend that extra little bit of money on the treated versus non-treated, because now we're gonna, and believe it or not, this is one of the nice ones. So what you're looking at here is a brace, right? And this is a brace that keeps the boards up. So you can imagine, again, the 2x4s that are made up of the boards are made out of this untreated plywood. So if I don't seal them up soon, they're just going to be dry rotted out and the thing's going to be ready for the dump. And so ideally, we'd like to keep this going as long as possible. So if you think about it like a long-term plan for this rink, every year having like an injection of money from either council, from donations from community members and whatnot, and we'll paint the rink every couple of years. Then as the boards dry rot out, or as these braces dry rot out, we'll replace half a dozen a year. It takes about 2 dozen braces to brace this up. So what I've talked about now is with Tivitot there at the high school. He runs, and again, I don't know if you know, there's a SHISM, Specialist High Schools major in manufacturing. So the idea would be to replace these actually with, have the students weld them, is where I'm hoping to do. Is like, so we take their manufacturing credit, their welding credit, and what they would do is fabricate this exact same thing, but instead of treated wood, it would be metal, and then that would become a permanent structure, and that way we wouldn't have to replace them at all. When we had the rink, we set it up, we realized that we had no bolts. So the mill 2 years ago donated, I don't know how many bolts, 150, 250. It was a fair amount, if you can imagine. 28 boards times 2. Yeah, so it's about 60. Yeah, and then you have, so anyway, yeah, we had about 80 or something like that. Anyway, a bunch. So thank you to you guys in the past. Chris Averio, like he said, if the town's giving money, people are giving money, he matched that previously. With, as you guys know, the rising cost of everything. I'm just looking forward to next year. So we have about $300 or $400 left in our account. I haven't even touched these yet. That money went towards paint. I'm looking at putting, the snow fencing was donated by the township, but we found that when it got really cold and the pucks hit the snow fencing, they're just going right through. So I'd like to replace that with something like a chicken wire or something more durable that the pucks aren't going to go through. Because again, like it's frustrating when you miss a net, you think it's going to bounce off, but it just ends up breaking and then falls right through to the other side. So those are what we're looking to do. I'm asking council, as in the letter, for $1,000. And I understand like times are tight. Whatever you guys can give is great. And again, this goes to the youth of our community, and that's why I'm here. And but it also is part of a civics activity from the high school. So again, these students are participating and they're down there, and I've been giving out community hours like crazy for shoveling and whatnot. So if you think about it, the town, it's something that contributes to the township where the township doesn't actually have to spend any time. It's been like for myself and a core group of volunteers and the firefighters and the students, we've sort of taken it on for ourselves. But again, finding money for these projects and to maintain it year after year is the challenge, and that's why I've approached you guys. So thank you very much.
Good. Chris, you want to stay there for a second?
Sure.
In case there's any questions?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Anybody got any questions, Chris?
don't have any questions, but I was one of the students that helped him build the rink this year.
You have a question?
No.
Oh, thank you.
I was just one of the students that helped him build the rink.
No,
Yeah.
you guys were all dressed up as Scooby-Doo. but-
Yeah, and the,
Thank you very
and
much.
the boards, they're not the greatest right now.
Thank you, Jason.
Yeah, I'll just get a clarification, Chris.
Yeah.
You had mentioned during your presentation about this being a permanent structure. So am
Well,
I interpreting that it's going to be sitting there year round, or what's the
No.
proposal?
no, well, no, so essentially, permanent structure, I don't know, in the sense that like it's permanent during the winter.
Okay.
And then the idea would be that every year we would take it down and set it back up. Like in a perfect world, I'd love to have something like Scriber or like a basketball court, and I know Corby's been floating around ideas and stuff like that, but I think that's a totally different meeting. For right now, the way it works for us is that we have this rink that was built years ago. I'm glad we have it. However, you're building a hockey rink that sits in water with untreated wood. And again, I talked to Chris Sabrario and I said, well, what paint is best to preserve this? So we bought that paint. It's in the high school. We're about a quarter of the way through the boards right now. Moving forward, I realized that even if we made treated wood with these, it's not ideal. Something welded up would probably be better. So again, I'd like to co-construct that with the students from the shop program and whatnot. But again, every year it's just like, rather than coming and say like, hey, I need this much to make this happen, this is like, maybe every year we can do some fundraisers. Every year I can come to council and say, hey, like I am right now, are you willing to put a little bit of money aside in the budget to maintain a hockey rink? And again, that the township, you guys plow, and that's awesome, and you guys volunteer water, and that's awesome. And then the rest of us sort of pick up the slack. But together, like we make the volunteers and the township and the fire department, we all make it work together.
No, I was just concerned from the standpoint that if it was permanent, there's other uses in the summertime down there.
Yeah, for sure, like the baseball field and whatnot, and the kids, but no, it's been removed. I try to get it down right away, because what ends up happening is the field gets soggy and it wants to sort of like come in on itself. So as soon as it becomes like a safety issue and the snow was melted around it enough for us to remove it, like Garrett and I were down there at Boot last week, I believe it was Monday or whatever. As soon as it's become like that, and then anyway, those kids can use it in the summer. But no, and then we store in the town yard. I spoke to Luke and D-Main previously, and we have a spot in the town yard, like way in the back that we just put it.
Okay, thank you.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
Okay, couple of things. First off, I'm really glad that this is working out with the students. Okay, I love that, the fact that we're getting some work out of them, they're learning responsibility, they're getting their hours, that's great. Second of all, the rink is probably pretty vital. It was the last few years anyway, but COVID really messed us up, we all know that. I'd like to see it continue, okay? I can't speak for everybody else on council, but we've spent money on other sporting venues, and I think it was money well spent, and I think this would be too. If we can throw a little bit of money at it and keep it up, and if we see the usage continue, even grow, that would be great. So, thank you for what you're doing, and thank you to the high school kids that are putting it together and looking after it. And the volunteers from the town that have flooded it and done other work. This is actually a really good news story, I think. That's just what I wanted to say.
Thank you. I agree.
Anybody else? Okay, I'd like to reiterate what Councillor St. Louis said. I think it's so neat to have a project in town where the students are actually doing their work and earning credits and time and getting involved. Just getting them involved in the community, it's just so, I'd love to see so much more of that. So thank you for that. And as far as the wood and that, $1,000 isn't a big deal to me. Okay, it is $1,000. What is a big deal and a concern to me is that we're doing this now and we'll do it for a while. And after a while, it's either going to grow or fade. It's just the way that things go. And I'm worried about the town now anticipating taking over something that is run by volunteers. All most of our activities in town are run by volunteers and supported by the town, so something for you to consider about as you're moving ahead is, we want you to succeed, you and your team to succeed. If you keep on going, you might want to get a little bit more organized, because if you come to council again for some more money, we might want a little more detail of what you're doing with it, a report and that sort of stuff. So you're a little bit organized in the, not, you don't want too much, but just a little bit more organized so that we know what's going on and we check.
Definitely, and I was gonna follow that up by, if you did want sort of like the monetary breakdown through Superior, I know Chris can provide all of those details. The reason why I started an account with him and have all that is because, well, again, as a teacher and just somebody who deals, I've got a lot of like sort of projects on the go, and it's just like, okay, now and I've been a recipient of various grants over the years too, through different like, governmental, non-governmental organizations, and again, it's just being like squeaky clean, be like, here's a check, take this, put it in, when I buy the paint, like, make the receipt, and then that way, if anybody wants to follow up on it, he has all that documented. And just to follow up with what you're saying as well, like, how much responsibility the town's taken on, I think, the snowplow right now is huge, and just to give you like a taste of I don't know exactly, I always say, like, again, with the surf event, like, dream it, believe it, achieve it, right? So one of our, I was talking to Corby, and he's potentially looking at, and he's just talking, but like something more permanent where it'd be like a basketball court, like road hockey rink and a skating rink in the winter time, and it would become more of a permanent structure where it goes. Who's like, is he donating that money? It made him sound like he was. He was talking about it the other day on the Southridge Park Facebook group, and that's something that that's not the first time I've heard it from him, and he's well connected in Thunder Bay, as you know. So I don't want to say it's gonna happen, but it's something like looking at more I think for our youth to have something more permanent in the long term would be more ideal. And that way, you're right, it's not just downloading it myself or some students and stuff like that. How can we have this happen year over year? But then again, now we have something permanent. Does it fall on the town's responsibility and maintenance and budget to take care of it? And I think that's where a few, like, having this Southbridge Facebook group has been very key, because again, like, just speaking is like, say Scott Plummerton's kids go and play. Well, I went one day after to shovel it, and Serge is already there for his grandkids, right? And so that's nice to see. And then, and then Colton or Ryan's messaging me, hey, we're gonna go and we're gonna water the rink tonight, or Brad, right? And then that's great as well. So, and I think in that sense, like, will the town ever water the rink? I don't think so. I think that's gonna be a relationship that the volunteers of Southridge Park have with the fire department, just utilizing that town property to create this to create this like rec opportunity, if you will, for the kids. And again, it alleviates, if you think about it, it alleviates stress. You guys don't want to open up on Sunday. It costs too much to run the rink on Sunday, or have somebody attend there, and to like maintain that rink and safety and liability. Or if you have an outdoor rink now, it's costing you $0 to run, which is sort of like the environmental factor of it. It's like, hey, we're using the natural elements, and it's totally volunteer run, and you don't have to staff it. So from that standpoint, I think it actually saves the town a lot of money.
Oh, you're right, and I think we all agree with you. I'm very cautious about building anything permanent, because that changes the whole game. So as you're getting organized and continue doing what you're doing, make sure you're doing the book work like you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're coming back to town and anything else, perhaps check in before you do that, and see if you can get some direction from the council or the town administration, so that we're supporting you, we're working together.
Okay. Perfect. And so, I just figured putting a letter forward is a good idea. Is there other recommendations? Like, I know what you're saying, like, should I speak to John like more in depth prior to in the future? Is that what, I'm sorry.
That's up to John and rec people to see communication. John, you have any thoughts?
Just in this instance, because it was a request for a donation, it is proper to come to council to respond to that particular request. I know we have worked with Chris and the volunteers down there in the past I think during your last round of purchasing, we were discussing back and forth. So,
Yeah.
In terms of, because it's a request for donation, it's appropriate if the council favors.
So communication's a big deal. If you get too much, they're gonna tell you or whatever. So keep that up. Be successful, keep the kids involved, get them educated. Great.
Just learning this too.
If I can just add, if you're gonna make a request an annual thing.
Yeah.
Do it in the vote November, so we can incorporate it into the budget.
Okay, perfect.
Go a long way, at least we can plan it as well. Right?
Okay, so November, so wait a little bit longer. So when's the budget again?
We started in November, it doesn't get passed till March,
Right.
but if you put your request in November, it gets it in the first draft.
I was definitely thinking early bird gets the worm because I'm legit taking down the rink. And I'm like, well, I might as well submit a letter while I'm thinking about this. So, but if November's a better time, I can wait till
As long
November.
as the early bird doesn't go south.
Pretty much, right? Okay, well, thank you all for listening. I appreciate it very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We want to proceed with this.
Council is free to do what it would like. It is an unbudgeted expense at this point, but we do have grants donation account that is not overdrawn at this point either. So council can entertain, we have prepared a resolution to that effect if council wishes to do so.
Yeah. Anybody else want to second it? Okay, so in the resolution forward. Okay, the motion moved by Councilor Johnson, second by Councilor Brewer. Resolve that council grant the request for a donation of $1,000 to be made by the Southbridge volunteers to be taken out of council grant and donations account. Okay, copy that. Any questions on that? Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call the motion to vote. All in favor, hands up. Hands down, opposed, hands up. Motion carried. Make it feel good, Chris.
You made a lot of kids happy.
Okay, item 6, reports from administration and item I, CAO clerk, AMO delegation.
Thank you, Your Worship. So as council is aware from the emails that have been exchanged, the AMO conference is coming up once again. We're currently in the provincial election period, so we don't know who will form government or who we will be meeting with that AMO, but the delegation request was issued nevertheless. So typically what occurs here is that the administration comes to council and council provides suggestions, and we make one to recycle to make some final decisions. But I would leave it open to council for discussion on who we should request from.
Okay, before we even go into the question, I'm gonna go. I'm planning on going. Is any other council planning? on going?
It's right in the middle of the 75th day.
No, it's before 76 starts.
Isn't it? It ends on the 17th.
And from Wednesday, so if I'm coming, I'm leaving there either Tuesday night or Wednesday morning. So has anybody not gone to one of the major conferences in the last while or not interested or?
Last 2 years.
Yeah. I couldn't remember that far back. Well, we had some videos.
On June. No, June. Or no, August. August 14th. 15th. The dates for that?
15, 16, 17.
14th, I think it starts a Sunday.
Correct.
16th. It's down noon, 17th, but don't expect anybody to stay either leave for scene 17th at home or unless you have to stay for something. Okay, we have room for one. Don't fight.
Well, I did, came last time, like I did it on Zoom.
Okay.
And I came down to the conference before, and I'm not running it, so I mean, there's gentlemen here that are going to be pretty at it, so.
I'm on the 75th.
You're not really sure. You're done. How about, Rick, you interested or not?
I did have to make sure that it would work-wise, but yeah,
Okay,
I can let you know in a couple of days.
how about you, Bert?
Yeah, if you're leaving early,
Tuesday night or Wednesday?
I've got people coming for the 75th on the 17th, and
Okay, well, let's just put it this way. We'll have one more counselor go and if like this, we want to come and see you.
yeah.
Okay? Sure. Or not? Okay.
I'm not taking my log in this year.
Yeah, it's not a lot. Well, the discussion, John, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, just on the delegation and, it's part, but that is not part of the discussions.
Well,
So we won't know right now, but I'm sure that if the Conservatives formed the government last time, they had delegation in the election period. They got their cabinet together, I think, by the end of June, didn't they, John, or something like that?
Yeah, we did end up meeting with the new government at Amo that year, 2018.
So, if you think about anything that's outstanding and, next meeting, we can bring it forward, John?
Yeah, we can bring it back for sure. Just the one suggestion administration will probably have is, with respect to NTO, there are a couple of issues we've been dealing with along the highway corridor, including, development of the rest stop, which was announced, approximately 2 years ago now. To start, at least some development on that project this year. So I know your worship, you and I talked to, Representative NTO at the NOAA meeting.
Yeah.
Might be nice to follow up with the minister, whoever
For
that
sure.
minister may be,
Yeah.
come on this. So
Yeah.
that would be administration's one suggestion for sure.
Yeah, okay, and also on the waterfront study, the minister that's responsible for granting money for that. Pardon? The tourism, yeah, for the tourism. That would be administered to look at. wouldn't it?
Yeah, I thought we were doing Superior Country this year for the marketing study. Are we looking at something else? We
Yeah,
budgeted to go with Superior Country to do the marketing assessment study.
Yeah, the marketing assessment study.
but that's for tourism though, right?
Yeah, for tourism.
Okay, so are we looking for money for that from the government? Okay. I thought we were looking for the money to run, to pay for that study.
We budgeted 20,000 for that, if I'm not mistaken.
10,000.
Sorry.
The max would be 10,000 our share, but with successful application to FedNor, which we're still waiting for confirmation, it would be only $5,000.
So it's FedNor, so yeah, around there.
Okay.
So we could see if the province wants to jump on board. I mean, we can finalize this at the next meeting. It's not a big deal, just.
Yeah, okay, anything else? Because
are we going to be doing a combined presentation on LNG?
CNG,
Inside natural gas?
I don't know, we'll have to talk to Marathon on that. I don't even know where.
Yeah, I could probably have an answer on that in the next meeting. The project is still moving forward, albeit right now a bit slower than what we would like originally, but that may be something that may come out as well. So
yeah,
I'll try and get some information for the next meeting.
yeah, okay.
And put pushing forward with our seniors, whether it's housing or in their own homes. It seems to be that's the feds and the province hot topic right now, that they're.
So who's the administrator we need to talk to on that? The seniors. Okay.
Ministry of Seniors and Accessibility.
So we need to, because one of the things that has, in the last, this term, we chose because of the, feedback and to try to keep people at home. One of the things that we've been hard to get the financing and the people to help keep people at home. Excuse me, but over the last little while, we're talking about how we need some supportive housing and that sort of stuff. Yeah, Marathon just got 17 beds for long-term care today. So that's in addition to their hospital, but we need something that we don't need that. We need seniors at home or some building for them.
Just a point on keeping, looking after seniors in homes, some of the, EMS services people are doing a pilot program and working on that. Can we maybe ask to have that expanded so that, we can offer that program in our field?
Yeah, we could do that anytime, Mike.
Okay.
I think there's the ones that are doing it, are working through the EMS out of Thunder Bay, but that money is coming from us there. The support.
That was a pilot program.
Yeah, so I don't know, that's been going on for a couple of years, so but that could be part of the presentation too. What we need. Because I think our Liberal candidate heard this well enough, and she was talking about it on the radio, so. Maybe we can get clear on a better direction of what we need to do over the next little while, find out what we need to approach it, the government on what we're looking for. Right?
The other one that I think we should keep on top of too is Ministry of Tourism, Ministry of Transportation that funds the health transit vehicle program. I think we're due to run out of that in 2024.
Yeah.
So it would be,
We meet in the MTO, that would be a good addition to that meeting, for sure.
and if Mr. Del Duca happens to win the election, he was the guy that instituted that, so.
Okay.
We won't allow the remote to it.
Okay, anything else? We'll keep it.
So they're due on the 24th of June, so we do have some time.
Yeah.
These other two meetings, this one more meeting. What I would suggest is we have three industries now, MTO, Minister for Seniors and Accessibility, as well as Ministry of Tourism, with selected topics we discussed, MTO having three, tourism having at least one, and seniors having one or two. Council has any other ideas, they can email them in the interim to administration, and we'll bring them back to the next meeting and have the list, entire list produced. So.
Good. Okay, and you understood? Yeah, direction, if you want to bring it up. Good, thank you, John. Okay, item B, bear driving for 2022.
Not much to report here, just a resolution, your worship, with respect to reappointing our bear traffic for the 2022 fair season. So.
Yeah, there's one there.
Should be one there for sure.
Oh, right, yeah. Sorry. Right. We have a resolution, moved by Councilor St. Louis, seconded by Councilor Moore, resolved by council approve the employment contract for Bernie LeBlanc, Taylor Paulson, and Paul Dennis as the certified bear trappers from May 1st, 2022 to November 1st, 2022 with the township of Terrace Bay. Discussion in the motion. Hearing none, I'll call a motion, vote all in favor, hands up. Hands down, opposed, hands up. Motion is carried. Okay. Community Development Supervisor.
Thank you, Richard. President of the Trestle Ridge Ski Club, Captain Shermack, has written a report regarding the 2022 ski season in Terrace Bay. To council members, Trestle Ridge had a late start this year due to tremendous wind not being able to keep the snow on the hill. This was a problem with the cross-country club trails as well. Fortunately, once we received the large snowfall, we were able to open on February 19th. Following that, we received more than average snowfall, and we were able to remain open much later than usual, making up for the late start. Staffing was not a concern this year, as we were able to hire many students that had been longtime patrons of the hill. We had new volunteers to assist at the hill this year, which was fantastic, as we often experienced a shortage of volunteers in past years. Our volunteer park crew was a bit smaller this year, as 3 of our main park members have gone away to school or work. However, new faces showed up and gained many volunteer hours for their high school requirements. Will Shermack, proud mom moment, received the High School Governor General's Award for volunteerism for his numerous hours as the volunteer park crew manager the past several years at the hill. Terrace Bay brought his outdoors class to help dig out the lift after one extremely large snowfall. We will continue to advertise within the high school next year for student volunteers. We continue to do yearly rentals that we had started during the COVID restrictions, as it was a means of less contact and less cleaning of gear or concern of sharing helmets. We found this actually worked better and will continue to offer yearly rentals that still have daily rentals available if required. It was nice to be able to open the chalet to patrons again, as tailgate skiing was not optimal during the colder days. We did not offer snacks this year, again, due to COVID restrictions and wanting to keep the safest environment possible for the kids. No one seemed to be bothered by this. Obtaining insurance was a challenge this year, as our previous company had opted to no longer offer insurance to ski hills, and the ski hill insurance market in general has become smaller and smaller as more companies decide not to cover that risk. However, with Luke's help and much investigation, we were able to secure a new market just in time. Luke's assistance in this was much appreciated. The lift ran well this year, only had a few minor maintenance issues that TSSA required. We had no missed days due to mechanical issues, only some late starts as there was so much snow to remove from the lift lines. The washrooms remain an issue, but hopefully can be rectified at some point over the summer, as it has been several years with no running water. And we rely on the fire department to fill buckets so that we can flush toilets. All in all, it was a successful year with many new faces, with lots of visitors from Marathon, Manitowoc, and Thunder Bay. A lot more adult/parent skiers were seen this year, which is nice, as they also volunteered their time. We look forward to continuing to serve the local communities and will continue with our fundraising efforts over the summer and fall. As always, I thank the township workers and council members on behalf of all the patrons at the Hill for your continued support of our Hill and your dedication to offering healthy activities for our youth. Sincerely, Kathy Shermack, President, Paul Shermack, Lift Mechanic/Treasurer. Financial implications are none. The options of this report, option A, the council accepts the information in the report as presented, or option B, the council does not accept the information in the report as presented and directs administration otherwise. Our recommendation is option A, the council accepts the information in the report as presented.
Oh,
What's wrong with the running water? Or why isn't there running water?
I honestly, before this year, I didn't know if there was ever running water at the ski hill. I generally don't know if it's a pipe issue. When I came on, the Shermacks had asked me to connect with the fire department to make sure that they filled up the buckets for the toilets. I never really went to the ski hill when I was younger, so I was unaware that there ever actually was running water. I'm not sure. John, would you be more familiar with
Probably
it?
a loss. I just don't know what happened. It was something in one of Dean's last years. There was something failed and they just couldn't repair it. Or maybe your worship, you know?
no, what I'm suggesting is, why don't we find out what the deal is? Are we looking at putting running water, or has to do running water? We need to make a plan, or we just want to see if we can go with fire. So at least they know where we're going and whatever, so we all understand your questions. Paul?
I don't think buckets are, they should have running water. Buckets are gonna be a health and safety issue as far as I'm concerned.
Well, we need to find out what's going on there.
When I originally read the report, I kind of assumed that they were actually asking to build water lines to the ski hill. I didn't realize there was ever water there.
Yeah, that's what I'm wondering. I don't think there's any water out there. But, we gotta find out what's going on here, because if you're gonna run water out there, that's a whole different question.
We'll find out here, you just got my memory, I believe there was a pump running from the river, the pump failed, that was expected to replace. And we had talked about one time about putting water lines in there, but that was really expensive coming in from Highway 17 corner. But we'll follow up and we'll find out exactly what the issues and bring it back to the next meeting.
Yeah. It'd be good so they know going into the year what they're gonna have or not have.
And if I could interject one more point. So certainly I was the Shermack's primary point of contact, so I'd have to shout out in the message, but truthfully, like the entire administrative team was very helpful in securing the insurance. The only person who was no help was Ryan, and that's when he wasn't present.
It's about time you got second.
Yeah, he's gonna investigate the plot.
Welcome to the team, right?
Takes the pressure off of it. Okay. Any other questions? Report. Okay, a motion moved by Councillor Maliszewski, seconded by Councillor Johnson. Resolved the council accept the 2022 Trestle Ridge Ski Report as presented. Questions or call the motion to vote, all in favor, hands up. Hands down, opposed, hands up. Motion is carried. Public Works. Wet well, pump order.
Thank you, Your Worship. Our current raw water supply system is 3 wet well pumps available to supply water to the water treatment plant. We have experienced a failure on the number 3 pump motor on April 27th. The motor was checked by an electrician on April 28th and it was confirmed it failed. The raw water pump house can supply the water treatment plant with its needed supply to service both the town and the mill with 2 pumps in most scenarios. We're currently running on 2 pumps with no issues thus far. We are at great risk should we have any problems with the remaining 2 pumps. We have received quotes and have found a suitable replacement from Merce Motors. Delivery time is short as the motor is available on the shelf in Winnipeg. The financial implications, financial cost of the motor is $13,206 and can be funded from the water reserve. I have 2 options available. The option A is that council approve the purchase of a new wet well pump motor to replace the failed motor. Option B, that council does not approve the purchase of new wet well pump motor and direct administration otherwise. Administration is recommending option A, that council approve the purchase of a new wet well pump motor to replace the failed motor.
Quick, well,
Is that including installation, Ryan? or-
We'll do that. Public Works and the hospital will team up to do the installation.
Ryan, that water treatment, or water pumping facility's been in service now 10, 12 years. And I think this was the 3rd or 4th pumping that failed.
Yeah.
We do a little research in history and find out it's the same pump that's causing the motor failure or what it is that they're all rotating. And
So I have done, well, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. We have done a little bit of research on that. I talked to Jake as well as Linda Quinn. Jake is the electrician. They are sort of sacrificial parts, submersible. The pump is in water and it's got a special wire to seal and it breaks down. So I don't know. I think we were basically warned of this at installation time before my time, but that that there is always going to be issues with those.
Correct me if I'm wrong, this is the first motor that's failed. Previously, it was actually the pumps and impellers that were.
Usually, if you lose the pump, they say to replace the motor at the same time. This time we lost the motor grounded. We're gonna put the motor on as it's unbudgeted, put the new motor on the old pump and
Previously, we were, where I was going was we were into trouble with the impellers. We thought there was possibly sand getting into the chamber. That was
sand intrusion pressure.
So it's, if this is the first motor failure, there's 3 pumps there, isn't that 4?
Yeah.
Okay, that's not,
Going forward, I will be budgeting for spares for down there.
because we run those pumps to failure now, anyway, right?
Yeah.
Okay, no other questions? Moved by Councillor Johnson, second by Councillor Maliszewski, resolved that council approve the purchase of a new wet well water pump to replace the failed motor. Any questions? Hearing none, I'll call a motion to vote. All in favor, hands up. Hands down. And opposed. Motion carried. That's the project coordinator.
Thank you, Your Worship. I have two reports for council this evening. The first one is our Terrace Bay residential properties. So administration would like to list some of the properties owned by the municipality with a real estate representative for potential sale. With the current real estate market and housing shortage, there has been an increase in demand to purchase property for development. Local North Shore communities have had success with listing and selling their properties with the expertise of a real estate representative. Administration has reached out to local real estate agent Wendy Christia and have been working with her on the listing of residential properties. Wendy suggests an asking price for $15,000 for each lot with a flat rate commission fee of $1,500 plus HST per lot. The properties to be listed for sale include the list as you see before you. And at this time, there is no financial contribution unless a property sells, and then the agreed upon commission fee would apply. There are two options: are that council approve the signing of listing agreements with Wendy Christia, or that council does not approve the signing of the listing agreements, and that council directs administration otherwise. Our recommendation is that council approves the signing of listing agreements with Wendy Christia.
Questions? Paul?
John, are these lots of both sewer and water?
Yeah, I believe they're all serviced. And we haven't got into Highland or Hillside Crescent yet, so.
Go ahead. Right.
The sale price is negotiable. In other words, we're asking 15,000.
Yeah, we are asking 15,000. I believe that we should probably.
So if we set the price tonight at the quoted price in the report, if somebody came back with a lower offer, we would come back to council. Come back to council anyways with whatever offer we get, so.
And it would be 10% of the offer or still 1,500?
1,500 flat fee.
Sorry, I didn't read the answer to that.
1,500 flat fee.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, any other questions? Stand up. Motion, moved by Councilor Moore, second by Councilor St. Louis, resolve that council approve the signing of the listing agreements with W. Christia from Remax Generations Reality. Any questions? You know, call the motion to vote. All in favor, hands up. Hands down, opposed, hands up. Motion is carried. Also, hazardous waste.
So last year, the Township of Terrace Bay held its annual Household Hazardous Waste Day on June 4th outside the tourist information parking lot. This event takes place with the assistance of GFL Environmental, who oversees the final sorting and safe disposal of our household hazardous waste. All pandemic protocols were considered and put into place for the safety of residents, volunteers, contractors, and staff who participated. The event successfully diverted the following from our landfill. So I've got the quantities there for you. So our current discussion is that the Township of Terrace Bay will be having its annual Household Hazardous Waste Day Friday, June 3rd from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. at the Terrace Bay Tourist Information Center parking lot this year. Volunteers and municipal staff assist residents with the drop-off process, accepting the waste and sorting it with the assistance of on-site GFL environmental staff who oversee the safe disposal of the waste. The Household Hazardous Waste Day is available to all residents of Terrace Bay. A list of the eligible household hazardous waste includes antifreeze, compact fluorescent light bulbs, fertilizers, fungicide, oil containers, paint coatings, pressurized containers, rechargeable batteries, single-use batteries, solvents, and paint strippers. As for electronic waste and car batteries, they will not be accepted at Household Hazardous Waste Day, and we do not accept commercial or industrial hazardous waste. So financial implications, this event is budgeted yearly. Costs vary year to year depending on the type and the amount of waste required. There are no options at this time as this report is presented as information only.
Any questions? Mike?
I should know this because it helped me fast. So it's my mind. The cost for this program, we bear,
Yes.
right? The volume that we collect, if we collect a greater volume, do we pay more or do we pay less depending on how much you collect?
It's difficult to say because depending on which materials, each material's costs vary as well. So I have seen,
Keep going.
I was gonna say, I have seen higher, with less than what we did last year, just because of the nature of what we did bring in. And then, the year before it was different because there was less, but more expensive things.
Okay. Sure.
Right.
Just to comment, I believe you might have been around the one year we got dinged for small propane cylinders and light tubes. We collected a boatload of those that year, and we got a big bill at the end of it. For whatever reason, the tariff or the fees had gone up on those two particular items. So I think the following year, we actually stopped taking them. And I think now the fees have come back down again, so we do accept them again. But I do recall that when Mr. Irwin was still here running the program. The other thing to point out too is we used to actually make money on this event at one time. There's a graph on one of our reports that actually shows it going like this. So we actually held two in one year and actually made revenue on it. But the program's changed over the years, and we now basically pay to keep these materials on the landfill. So,
Well, that's why I asked the question, because we're promoting this as for Terrace Bay residents only, but I know from experience that we've had Schreiber residents as well, which is great. I mean, it's saving our landfill. So are we marketing this to Schreiber residents as well? And are we looking to, again, ease the load on our landfill site by bringing having
We
Schreiber
market,
residents, with our taxpayers paying the freight, if we're getting money back, from some of the materials, that's great. The more we can get, offset the cost. But I don't want to see, if we're getting a whole lot of material coming in from Schreiber and we're paying the extra freight for moving it all out.
we do market strictly to Terrace Bay residents, but as Schreiber residents come in, we don't turn them away because we do share the landfill. Last year, we did do an exercise where we actually did mark off how many were from Terrace Bay and how many were from Schreiber. And when the amount to Danny was essentially, I don't want to say negligible, but it wasn't as many as we thought. It wasn't 50-50.
Thank you.
My question is, what count is this hazardous waste they charge to? Is it charged to the landfill account?
I'm not sure, I'll double check on that, but no, it wouldn't, I don't think it's a shared cost. We bear the whole.
it's a special event, if I'm not mistaken. The
That's
director
what it is,
confirmed,
yeah.
but it is a special event.
Right?
Yeah, it always has been.
It's all my.
Throw that out there. Thank you.
Good luck with that.
Again, we used to make money on the event. So.
Okay, any other questions? Hearing none, I'll read the motion. Moved by Councilor Malachewski, second by Councilor Johnson, resolved by Councilor to accept the household hazardous waste day report as presented. Further questions? All the motion to vote, all in favor, hands up. Hands down, opposed, hands up. Motion is carried. Item 7, approval of payroll disbursements. Motion moved by Councilor Moore, seconded by Councilor St. Louis, resolved that council approve the general disbursement for the month ending April 2022 in the amount of $193,740.39. Question? Hearing none, call the motion vote, all in favor, hands up. Hands down, opposed, hands up. Motion is carried. Communications, Thunder Bay Auto Sport.
Hey, your worship, so this is an annual, becoming actually an annual press now. They've been coming to Terrace Bay for, I believe, 5 years plus. They were proposing to hold two events this year, one on July 22nd, July 22nd, 23rd, and 24th, and another one on the 26th and 27th of August. In the past, they've actually done quite well. I believe it still remains a non-spectator closed event. They just need a facility to actually run their event. They do donate a portion of their profits or a portion of their proceeds to a local charity of council's choice to recall the options going back to council, how much money it comes to the where it goes. So Administration doesn't have any issues at this time. The resolution does read that we will bring the bylaw authorizing the agreement that they put forward back to the next meeting via bylaws.
Okay. And the art club has one from.
They know they try to stay away from each other's weekends. For safety reasons, but they don't use the same portion of the airport property. They use different titles.
What works out well.
Yeah, and they do carry their own insurance, and all that is in the agreement, and will be brought back to the next meeting via bylaw and council, just to forward this.
Questions on this? Good. Motion moved by Councilor Moore, second by Councilor St. Louis. Result the council approve the annual request for an agreement from the Thunder Bay Auto Sport Club for the use of the property at the Terrace Bay Airport on July 22nd, 23rd, and 24th, 2022, and August 26th and 27th, 2022. And the appropriate bylaw will be brought forward to the next regular council meeting. All in favor, hands up. Hands down. Opposed, hands up. Motion carries. The airport property request. Go ahead, Councilor.
Thank you, Worship. So there is an email there from the Mr. Jason McCart. He is a racer. He's active in the local and provincial racing scene. He was talking to the car club here, looking to the possibility of doing private track rentals. And she directed him to actually email me as administration. They're hoping to get some private rentals at the airport track. They have their own insurance, anything else that we require of them. So he's just reaching out at this point to see if it's a possibility. And speaking with the car club, their position is, as it's described in the letter, that really is our facility. However, they're running 2 events there this year, and they're wondering why wouldn't they just run this event as well. So that's kind of where we sit right now. Really, it is our venue. We could rent to somebody else. However, the complexity is the car club has made some improvements out there to their area, and this is the same type of racing, unlike the Auto Sport Club. So they would be using the car club's improvements. So even though it's our property, they kind of need to get permission from the auto, from the Spirit Classes Car Club to do so. From administration's perspective, we've been stretched the last few years in trying to help the Classics Car Club with their previously 4 events. They were doing test and tunes. They did 4 of them during the COVID period. And then previous to that, they did a test and tune and a modified 2 test and tunes during the first year of COVID. So again, it's really, if council does want to entertain this, it's just going to be more of a cost. But I think the input from the car club is necessary given the improvements they've made to the facilities over the years. But I will open it up to discussion.
Questions?
This is a pretty vague letter. Like, we don't know much about this guy, what kind of event he's gonna have or anything. I wouldn't even, myself, I wouldn't consider even saying yes until I knew a hell of a lot more about what this was gonna entail. Is it a public thing? Is it a private thing? Is it, that's just my view. And then, yeah, the last thing I want to do is end up with some kind of turf war with the car club.
Thank you, but no, thank you. We don't have enough detail.
Yeah, I want to know more before I said yes or no or anything.
Councilor Thurston.
Yeah, I'm with Rick. I think there would need a little more information if this is going to be a private operation and he's generating revenue for himself, which is great. But are we getting anything out of it? And we back? He doesn't allude to any donations back to a group or organization within the municipality that the other car club's doing. So I'd like to see a little more information.
I agree with Mike, more information is required. Dates and stuff like that.
Just throw out their request to see if it sticks in the wall. It didn't say. Okay, any other?
Two things. There is obviously a long history with Superior Classics and running the drags for over 20 years. There's a mutual trust that's built up. This is a new player coming to the table. Obviously, more information is needed. As I pointed out, the gentleman is just reaching out at this point. We do have an events bylaw, depending on how he's going to run his plans to run his event. What would be required? Obviously, insurance would be required. Which he mentions they have no insurance. We'd have to check into all that. given the timelines, I don't know that they could pull one together this year, but I guess the ask from administration as council wants to respond, get more information at this point.
We could appreciate the, we should just respond. We appreciate your interest, but at this time, we don't have enough information to even seriously consider it. Yeah.
Fair. I can respond to any response I get back. I can forward to council too if necessary.
I think John, you don't even have to bring it back to council if it doesn't move ahead. And I think the other key thing is to make sure you already know, just doubling up. You're working with the car club to make sure they're aware of it. And they don't have any questions there. They can support or reject the ideas that come up.
Yeah, I'll reiterate again, as it is our facility, again, the car club's been hard at work on the specific improvements to said facility for their events for a number of years now, and the gear out there, if you will, does belong to them. So it's a complex relationship, but I'll have to see what comes up.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, thank you. We'll go on to the Lake Superior High School sponsor request. Oh. Oops.
So again, just the request for donation of corsages and boutonnieres for the Terrace Bay, or sorry, Lake Superior High School graduation ceremony. I believe there are eight graduates this year, Jen?
Potentially 8 graduates.
Potentially graduates.
We've done it. Good work on it.
There is a resolution.
Okay, I think it's an easy one. It should be the resolution, page one.
Correct.
Okay, good. Okay, that. Moved by Councilor St. Louis, second by Councilor Moore, resolve the council approve the Lake Superior High School 2022 graduating students from Terrace Bay with either a concern or boutonniere. Any question? None. Call a motion to vote, all in favor, hands up. Hands down, opposed, hands up. Motion is carried.
Before we move on.
Okay.
Just before, while we're talking about the high school, have we received anything on the graduation itself? We present bursaries.
They usually let us know, that they're going.
Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't heard back yet.
We don't have the letter
Okay, thank you.
We did sponsor though.
yet. Yeah, we did budget for it, for sure.
I could speak on a little bit, that we have meetings next week to determine recipients and stuff like that. But a lot of that is like Bonnie's working on that right now.
Thank you. Okay, bylaws. We have a bylaw, moved by Councilor Moore, second by Councilor St. Louis, resolve it. That's the bylaw. Okay, yeah. Resolve the council authorize the township of Terrace Bay to sign the listing agreements with W. Christia of Renas Generation Realty. Be read a first, second, and third time. We finally passed the 16th day of May 2022. Questions? And then I call a motion, vote on favor, hands up. Hands down, opposed, hands up. Motion is carried. Under business. Question period.
I just put out a call. I did put it on the chat. If anybody does have a question for any question period portion of the meeting, which is now, please enter into the chat with your first and along with your first and last name. Going once. Twice. 3 times. I do not have any questions at this time, Your Worship.
Thank you. Next meeting. Okay, we have a motion moved by Councilor St. Louis, second by Councilor Moore. Resolve the next regular council meeting will be held Monday, June 6th, 2022 at 6:30 in the activity room. Questions? Hearing none, I'll call a motion vote. All in favor, hands up. Down, opposed, hands up. Motion is carried. Next meeting is June 6th. motion. Moved by Councilor Moore, second by Councilor St. Louis, resolved that we do now adjourn at 7:34 PM. Questions? Move the vote, all in favor, hands up. Hands down, opposed, hands up. We are now adjourned. Thank you very much.